You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Tiffany's Take, where I answer your questions right here on the podcast. So if you would like your question answered, go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/ask Tiffany. I would love to hear from you. If you heard my 300th episode, you heard all of those wonderful voice notes. You can actually leave me one as well with your question if you prefer. I would love to hear your voice. All right. So for this episode, I wanted to go over 32 ways to make progress. Now, I was scrolling on LinkedIn one morning and I came across this post and it had 32 different items that they say you can make progress by doing. And when I read through these items, I said, oh, this is pretty much how I live my life. So let me share them on the podcast, but also add just some things that I do in order to stick to these things. So add a little color to it. All right. So let's just hop right in because this might be a little lengthy. Number one, wake up early. Now, I typically wake up at like 6 o'clock every morning because I have to get the kids on the bus. Now, some days I do end up laying back down and going back to sleep. But on the days where I actually stay up, I use that time. So after they get on the bus, usually around 7 o'clock, I use that time to work out, do a meditation, take a shower, and just ease into my day. If I end up going back to sleep, I feel like I have to rush once I do wake up again to try to get some things accomplished. So waking up early actually gives you, of course, more time, but also you'll realize like usually when I stay up, it's like 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, wow, I got so much accomplished, So that is something that I plan on doing a little more. It's just getting up early and staying up. Okay. Number two, read daily. This is something that I always do. You will never find me not reading. Okay. I know that was bad grammar, but it's true. And one thing that I use to keep up with what I read and when I read is an app called Goodreads. So if you are on Goodreads or if you're not, and you're interested in what I'm reading, definitely check me out over there. But I also use Audible. So I do listen to audiobooks as well. I count that as reading. So there are many different ways to get this read daily in, but it's super easy to do. And another thing is reading blog posts. So go over to the Money Talk with Tiff website and just read a blog post a day. You will learn so much, but then also you'll be getting that daily reading in. Number three, eat well. Now, let me be real. This is one thing that I do struggle with because I love the food. But I will say back a few years ago, back in like 2011, 2012, I used to be pescatarian, mainly vegetarian with a little bit of fish occasionally. And I felt so much better and I want to get back to that. So that is one thing that I will be working on is the eating well. And actually, I might do a little fun challenge with you all because that will help hold me accountable and probably you as well. Number four, love yourself. Now, this is so important because what is on the inside is usually what reflects on the outside. And so loving yourself allows you to love others. So how do I make sure that I love myself? Well, first and foremost, I make sure that I feel it, right? Because, you can always say, oh yeah, do affirmations. Oh yeah, make sure you eat right, da, 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 da. But if you don't feel the love within yourself, then it's going to be really hard. You can say all the affirmations and stuff you want, but it's not going to change what's on the inside. So that's the first thing I do. But also adding affirmations keeps it top of mind. And then also I have self-care days. I mean, just not too long ago, I went to the chiropractor. I got some acupuncture done. I have a gift card for a massage that I need to use. So that's how you show love to yourself. And what you do could be completely different. Maybe it looks like just having a quiet night in. Maybe it looks like digging into a book. Whatever it is that you need to do to show yourself some love, make sure you do it. Number 5, judge less. Have you ever heard of the saying, comparison is the thief of joy? It is so true. Whenever you are judging others or comparing yourself to others, it does take away your joy. It does have a negative impact on how you feel, not only about yourself, but about others. And so I always keep that top of mind whenever I have a thought, because it is human nature. Okay. We do judge a lot. And take, for instance, the Super Bowl. Everybody's like, why did JD wear that outfit? I said the same thing. Like, what is going on? But it's okay to have those thoughts occasionally, but don't let it run your entire existence. So judge a little less. And that's why it doesn't say don't judge, because it's going to be impossible to do that, to be honest. It's an unrealistic expectation for yourself, but you can judge just a little bit less. All right. Number 6, be yourself. Oh my gosh, I love being me. Okay. And I will say that takes a certain level of loving yourself, going back to number 4. But being yourself brings you so much authenticity, so much joy that you don't have to put on a front or, a fake face just to deal with people. That steals your energy. And so, how do I be myself? I show up as I am. I have been in board meetings where I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I have been in company meetings where I'm wearing my African print skirts and things like that. I will always be myself. And if anyone has an issue with that, then that is not my issue. Because I don't do anything to be malicious to anyone or with ill intent. I'm just being who I am. And especially in the case of Black and brown people, we are conditioned to not be ourselves because being ourselves is wrong, but quote unquote wrong. And I'm doing air quotes, y'all. But I take a completely different approach. I embrace who I am and I show that on a regular basis. There's nothing wrong with that. So number 6, be yourself. I'm going to try to speed up a little bit. Number 7, set goals. I talk about goal setting all the time. And so I won't harbor on this too much, but make sure that you have your overall life goal. Where are you trying to go with life? But then also you have 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. What do you want to do in 6 months, 3 months? By the end of the day. Like, always set goals for yourself. When I woke up this morning, I wrote a list of all the things that I needed to accomplish today. That's a level of goal setting, which leads me into number 8, plan your day. So one time I was at a summit and I was listening to this millionaire talk, and he was saying that he plans his days 2 weeks in advance. I said, whoa, that is ambitious, but I can absolutely understand where he's coming from when he says that. He was like, if you plan your days ahead of time, you can't fail. It's literally impossible because you are constantly working on what it is you're supposed to be working on. And so I do a level of this, and I use an app called Motion. So I'll put a link in the show notes for that. But Motion helps me plan out my day. And so I'll put in what I need to get accomplished, what the priority is on it, what's the due date, so on and so forth. And it plans my day for me. Highly recommend. But that is one thing that I do. Number 9, have a positive attitude. So this is where affirmations come in, because it is so easy, especially in the world we live in today, to go into negative autopilot. And so I have an app on my phone called I Am. Feel free to download it, but it allows me to have affirmations at my fingertips. And I have the widget set up because I have an iPhone where it shows on my lock screen, it shows on my watch, it shows on my first page of apps. And so that way I always have an affirmation ready to go to look at. Number 10, have purpose. So go back to, what is your purpose here? Right? What do you feel you were put on this earth to do? Everybody has a purpose. And usually when people aren't able to figure out what their purpose is, one thing that I tell them is, look at what other people come to you for all the time. What is something that other people are like, hey, such and such, do you know this? Or hey, such and such, what do you think about this? that could be a really good indicator of what your purpose is. So really think about that. And anytime somebody asks you something, jot it down. What did they ask you about? How did they ask you about it? So on and so forth. And you might see what your purpose is. Also, look at things that have repeated throughout your life. So, what is something that maybe you used to do as a kid that you now find yourself doing now subconsciously? So, think about that and you could figure out what your purpose is. Number 11, find inspiration. Inspiration's all around you. But if you're so into the day to day grind, you'll miss it. So take time to find that inspiration. What makes you go? What makes you feel the best? And I know for me, my inspiration comes from you all. So whenever you all let me know, oh, Tiffany, this was really helpful, or this episode, or this blog post, or this social media post, whatever, had a profound impact on my life, that's my inspiration to keep going. Whenever I feel like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I know I have purpose. I know this is what I was put here to do, but it gets so hard sometimes that inspiration kicks in and it really helps, which leads me to number 12, help others. Always help others first. I love helping people. And that's one thing that I do pretty much on a daily basis is I'm helping people in many different ways. And so think about how you can help someone. I can tell you, the more I help people, the more I receive. And it's not that that's why I'm helping people, but it's just the law of attraction. If you help people, you will get help. And it could be from other people. It can be your kids get help with something. You know, there's so many different ways that that help can come back to you or the others that you love. So that's why I always have the help others first. It's funny when people, you know, do a consultation call or, you know, they're like, hey, Tiffany, can you answer this question or whatever? And I'm like, sure, you know, I want to help as many people as possible. And sometimes it's not all about the money. Now, I do have bills, unfortunately, but it's not about the money all the time. There's so much stuff that you can do that is second nature for you and doesn't take much time, but can significantly impact someone else. So anyway, all right. Number 13. So also think about building your network. It is so helpful when you are a blessing to others and genuinely mean to be a blessing. That person is now in your network. My network is huge. There are so many people I can send an email or send a social media DM or call or text or whatever that will be there for me like that. And that was because I was there for them. And so that's why number 12 and number 13 are kind of intertwined, but also outside of helping others to build that network, find people that are where you would like to go. That is super important when it comes to building a network as well, because they can add value. They could say, well, you know what, Tiffany, have you thought about this? This just happened to me last night. I got an email from one of my colleagues because I asked for some feedback, and the feedback they gave was super helpful. And so make sure that you're building your network. And like I said, that can look many different ways. Number 14, save money. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what the investment gurus told you, but always save some money. Always have some money saved up that's liquid, because it does a few things. It gives you peace of mind. It also allows you to make progress. If you have the money saved and an opportunity comes up, you can jump on it. If you don't have the money sitting there for you, then you're not going to be able to jump on an opportunity. And what if that opportunity is the difference between you going to the next level or not? So that's why it's so important to have some money saved up so that way you can jump on opportunities when you need to. Number 15, automate. Y'all, I love me some automation. And if you are a business owner and you struggle with automating things, please reach out to me, because I can probably give you some tips on how to do it with whatever tech stack you're using. But definitely automate savings, automate investing, automate how you interact with your day. Like I said, with the calendar, the Motion app that I use, that automates putting things on my schedule so I don't have to sit there and do it. So it's super helpful and super important to do that. And next, delegate. So one thing that I use is called the Eisenhower matrix. And I will put a link in the show notes for it, but it allows you to see what you need to be doing, what you don't need to be doing, what you need to be delegating. Okay. And so breaks your tasks out into do now, do later, delegate, and don't do. Okay. And so once you go through that process of putting all those things in the matrix, it's 4 squares, then you realize, oh, these are the things that I can delegate to other people. And so highly recommend going through that process so that way you can see what you can delegate. And also I would urge you and say, delegate things that you don't enjoy doing. Start there. If you don't like doing something and it needs to be done, but it drains you every time you do it, delegate that thing and see how you feel. I had this conversation with my classmates because we were talking about, oh my gosh, school is being so demanding, whatever. And I was like, I have a housekeeper and I've had a housekeeper for quite some time, but it really helps. And so one of my classmates, she said, you know what? I'm gonna hire a housekeeper. The next class, she said, oh my gosh, Tiffany, this is a life hack in of itself. And I said, see, I told you. So delegate those things that you don't have time for, you don't enjoy. And there's someone out there that does enjoy it and would love to do it and can do it faster than you. My housekeeper comes for 2 hours once a week, and she can clean the entire house. Sometimes for me, it takes 2 hours just to do the bathroom because I have to put my cleaner in the tub and let it soak. And then I sit on the couch and then I forget about it. And then it's 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, the bathroom. So with her, she comes in, she does both bathrooms, the living room, my office, the kitchen, everything in 2 hours. And so there might be someone that's more efficient with what you need to get accomplished. So think about that. Now, I know I said I was going to go over 32 ways, but I think we only have time for 16. So next episode, I'll go over the next 16 ways to make progress from the list. And if you would like your question answered on the podcast, go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/Ask Tiffany. I'll be more than happy to answer. Next week, catch the continuation of this 32 ways to make progress list. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.